Well, hello and welcome everyone to CLS Live, a monthly live stream series presented by the publishers of Contact Lens Spectrum. I'm Jason Jedlicka, back again as your host for this episode. It is a pleasure indeed to be back with you and have you join me for this episode. As you know by now, each program I have the chance to chat with a leader in the world of contact lenses, finding out about what's going on in the contact lens industry from their perspective and with their insights. We talk about new and future products, the latest research, worldwide trends in prescribing, and even bring you updates from the floor of contact lens conferences. And with that background, it is my pleasure today, for today's episode, to welcome back Dr. Jason Nichols. Dr. Nichols has both an OD and PhD from Ohio State University, is a widely recognized contact lens researcher, a faculty member at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, the editor-in-chief of Contact Lens Spectrum, and was chosen to present the Max Shapiro Memorial Lecture by the American Academy of Optometry's Cornea and Contact Lens section at the annual meeting last October, one of the highest honors in our profession. Jason, congratulations on your award, and welcome back to CLS Live.
Thank you, Jason. It's indeed an honor to be back and privilege. And before we jump into things, I want to thank you for your leadership of CLS Live. It's been just a tremendous venue, forum for us to exchange dialogue globally and nationally. And I don't know if you know, but this past year, we've had nearly 500,000 views of the episodes in total, which is just remarkable. That's about almost on average, a little less than 50,000 views per episode. We've had well into the millions of impressions. So it's just remarkable. And I really want to thank you for leading us and keep steering us at the helm.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and it's been great for me to do this because I've got to meet and get to talk to so many great people in our industry that I would never have gotten to. I just ran into Phil Morgan at Academy this year, and we had a nice chat and hadn't really talked a lot in person, but because of our experience working in CLS Live together, it was really fun. So I've appreciated it as well. So the feeling is mutual.
Fantastic.
So today our topic is going to be the Global Specialty Lens Symposium, or GSLS, which is coming up now in about 2 months. The GSLS is the premier contact lens meeting in the world and is held annually in Las Vegas. So how many years is this now for GSLS? Is this year 15 or so? How many years has it been? I can't even remember.
Yeah, a little more than that, Jason. Okay. 2024 will be our 18th year.
Okay, there you go.
This meeting. So, and it's what a ride it's been.
And you've been involved with it most of the time, right?
I have. I became editor-in-chief of Contact Lens Spectrum in 2008, and I've been involved on the program committee since that time. It's really Contact Lens Spectrum's meeting, if you will, and so it's important that while we have an excellent program committee, that I sort of maintain some consistency between what we do with the journal and the magazine and the meeting itself. And make sure that sort of we're messaging appropriately and providing the highest level content across our platforms.
And this meeting, I've been at every meeting but one. We were talking before this episode started that I missed one a few years ago because I had to have a surgery, but otherwise I've been to every single one of them. It's just amazing how it's grown in every aspect, not only attendance, the scientific portion, all that, and we'll talk a lot about that, of course. But a few years back, we had a little pandemic that came along, kind of took its toll on everything we were doing, and that really we had to go to a year of virtual. And then I remember as the last couple of years have gone by, the numbers are creeping up again. So how has attendance rebounded last year, and what are we expecting for this coming year? Are we going to be back to pre-COVID levels, do you think?
I think so. It's remarkable if you travel the sort of history of the GSLS going back to, say, 2010, shortly after I became involved in the meeting. We'd have a couple dozen speakers and maybe a few hundred attendees each year. Just prior to COVID and the 2020 meeting, we were in the several hundred attendees, several dozen speakers. Poster-wise, we'd be in the 120 plus range. So it's really remarkable what we've done. So that was 2020. Then in 2021 was our first virtual meeting because of COVID. And I want to thank you in particular, you and Craig Norman, for helping so much with that 2021 meeting. You all jumped in and helped host that meeting, really transition between the interactive platform, the online platform that we did. And that was really a remarkable meeting. I think we engaged, I can't remember exactly, something like 70 or 80 different countries were involved in that particular meeting. Come then 2022, we were back and we were rebounding, not yet quite to pre-COVID levels. I think we were maybe 600 plus attendees 2022. We were starting to come back in terms of posters and speakers, maybe a few dozen speakers poster-wise. I think we were at the 100 level. Last year, we had our biggest year ever. Last year meeting 2023, we were well over 1,000 attendees. We had almost 60 speakers, I think, in terms of educational speakers. We maxed out the posters. We were at as many as the poster hall could hold. And I think that we're going to be in the same position this year as well. And I'll say why we certainly like to see growth in the meeting. We also like the kind of family aspect of people bumping into each other, people knowing each other, catching up with colleagues and collaborators and friends across the industry as well. And so it's really our mission to grow Special Lens as well, at the same time keeping that community sort of engagement that we have in the meeting.
Yeah, this is truly one of those meetings where you can't get anywhere quickly because there's people that stop you every 10 feet to say, hey, how's it going, and catch up with you. And for someone who hasn't been to the meeting before, getting up to become a part of that atmosphere, you just got to take the leap and come and get started. And it's a very welcoming environment. I know that there's a lot of very high profile people there, but everybody's really into welcoming everyone to become a part of that community for sure.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about the meeting. For those who have been there, you know how this meeting works already, but for those who haven't, I'd like to touch on a little bit of the format just to familiarize. I think what makes the meeting so great is the variety of formats in which information is presented. And of course, one of those formats is the general session panels, which are interspersed through the meeting. We've got a couple hours here, a couple hours there through the whole meeting when everyone comes together in the big hall, and we've got our premier talks, our premier panels given. Give us some idea, if you can, about what kind of things we're going to see presented in the general sessions this year.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a good point. The key to our success in the meetings has been a mix of these general sessions where we all come together, big room, usually panel type discussions. Then we've got workshops, somewhere between 4 and 6. This year we'll have four workshops. Then we have our CE breakouts, and we'll have somewhere between 18 to 22, depending on the year, where these are highly competitive, where we ask the community to put in proposals for the CE breakouts. But really the sort of mainstay bread and butter are the general sessions that you point out. Most of the time they're between 1 to 2 hours. And we really try and hit the highest of the high notes during those sessions and bring in the biggest names who are doing clinical work or clinical research in those areas. So we start the program Wednesday afternoon with the International Forum for Scleral Lens Research, a good collaboration that we've had for a number of years. We'll jump into a couple workshops then that afternoon. Thursday, we'll hit our first ever keynote address by Dr. Nathan Ephron. I'll come back to that in just a moment so we can talk about that. That'll be followed by what we're calling is the Great Debate 2.0, where Nathan Ephron and Ed Bennett will get on stage and debate a couple of topics. And again, I'd like to come back to that in just a moment.
For sure.
We'll sprinkle in then, after those two tremendous sessions, a variety of CE breakouts, probably lunch in the exhibit hall, or lunch and learn, as we call it often we'll do. Followed by then Thursday wrapping up with a general session on keratoconus, looking back to the present and to the future and where we'll go, kind of highlighting the fact that it's been 20 years now since the collaborative longitudinal evaluation of CLEX study or keratoconus study has completed itself. So that'll be a remarkable session. Friday, we'll jump in again with a couple of workshops, one on scleral lenses, that'll be done in Spanish, actually, and English.
Wow, nice.
In addition to one on imaging, imaging of the ocular surface, cornea, scleral, conjunctiva, etc. We'll do posters Friday, and then we'll jump into a general session on sort of regulatory and ethical considerations in contact lens and specialty contact lenses. First time ever we've done such a session. We'll have people who regularly interact with regulatory agencies like the Food and Drug Administration, in addition to an attorney who is in the field practicing as well, who can provide insights to our colleagues about special situations and what they need to know and be aware of. Saturday, we'll jump in and have some general sessions on technology in the ocular surface, in addition to cracking the code in myopia management. I should have said as I got going, I was just so excited to talk about the general sessions, that the overarching theme of the meeting is innovations for the future.
Okay.
And so you'll see in each of the at least general sessions and workshops, we try to tie in the theme of innovation this year, really looking to technology and all the wonderful technologies we have, whether it's diagnostics, therapeutics, new lens designs, new materials, to really hit those high notes about what to expect both now and in the future as it relates to innovation. So a lot there.
Yeah, that is a lot. But again, that's great. And one of the things I think too, for those who haven't been to a GSLS, is the international scope of this meeting. I can just think back over the years at how many times I've listened to a speaker, particularly researchers from around the world, and they're bringing information that you don't get unless you're reading the journals or going to these international meetings that do impact the way that we practice. And it's been invaluable to see the research that's being done, particularly like down in Australia, New Zealand. There's a lot of research that goes in contact lenses, and it comes to this meeting and it's presented to us in a format that we can take in and apply to our practices. So that part I love about it. We did talk about the scientific program a little bit, how it maxed out. Anything in particular regarding the scientific program this year, other than just another huge number of posters being presented?
Yeah, I think the record number of poster submissions this year was just remarkable. We have far more now that we receive than we can actually have presented at the meeting, which is unfortunate in a way. I wish we could accept everybody's poster, but at the same time, it makes sure that sort of as the committee looks at things and as we evaluate them, that our attendees are really getting the cutting edge science presented each year, from clinical cases to actually clinical research and even clinical trials. Not surprisingly, the bulk of them fall in two categories. I would say scleral lens research and myopia research. And so we see large numbers, though, on all topics, from presbyopia, stigmatism, irregular cornea, keratoconus, such that we're now able to not only highlight things in our free paper session, we also now do a rapid fire poster session as well, where we're able to pull out some posters where they get each 3 minutes to really go over in a rapid fire sort of way the poster presentation. So we're super thrilled and excited about all of that, really, and really the science that's presented at the meeting, really the backbone to the meeting.
Yeah, I love that rapid fire poster idea because, again, to find the time to visit all these posters can be challenging. The fact that you're bringing some of the best posters to us in a format like that, that's quick, and we get that data, and that's going to drive us back to the exhibit hall then probably to look up and find out more about these posters. So it's a smart idea. I think that presenting the research is a really important part of this meeting.
Yeah.
Another important part of this meeting is the industry partners. I love the way that the contact lens industry and contact lens practitioners, really it's a team effort to take care of our patients, and having the labs, having the companies that support us every day be at the meeting in such great numbers and with such great exhibits is another great part of this meeting. I love the exhibit hall, probably more than any exhibit hall that I attend, is just spending time there. So again, maybe you can mention a little bit about the experience and anything in particular this year that we should be aware of.
Yeah, you really hit the high notes. Our exhibit halls are amongst the best I've ever participated in. I get the most business done. I get the most education done in our exhibit halls. And we really can't thank our sponsors and exhibitors enough. I mean, if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have this meeting. And I think that they find great value in it as well. I've seen things from, having the interactive demos to lens lathing to hands-on sort of patient fitting and demonstrations. It's really remarkable, the things that we do in our exhibit hall. And I can't thank our sponsors and exhibitors enough for all of their participation. I want to encourage every attendee to visit every single booth this year. It's so important that we show them the support that they show us. So it's just fantastic. I every year we raise the bar in terms of what happens in the exhibit hall. So I can't say thanks enough.
Yeah, and I remember many years ago at one of the first meetings, the exhibit hall was about a dozen tables, and people standing around. And now it's like, it feels like an exhibit hall you'd get at a huge national conference, which it's becoming. But it really does blow me away at how high end the exhibit hall really is.
Yeah.
Anything else about the meeting to talk about? New topics? You mentioned already the theme going throughout that. Anything else we can talk about with the meeting coming up with regards to the format or trends we're going to see?
Absolutely. I think there's a few things. Again, we mentioned the technology innovation theme this year. That's really, really exciting, I think. Looking sort of at the past, but at the present and into the future as well, in terms of what practitioners might anticipate. One thing that's really interesting about innovation is year over year in Contact Lens Spectrum, we'll survey our readership. What is it you want to hear about most next year? And I think for the last 3 or 4 years, they've said new technologies, what's happening in the future. So for example, this year we've got at least one lecture on AI in the contact lens practice, which is going to turn itself into a column in Contact Lens Spectrum next year. Very timely topic. A second thing I want to highlight, I mentioned before, our first ever keynote address this year, given by Professor Nathan Efron, who's certainly known to everybody in the contact lens community for his years of work in soft lenses and contact lens complications, in education. This year, his keynote address, again, the first ever, is called Contact Lenses are Intrinsically Inflammatory, Implications for Specialty Lens Fitting. The idea is that this notion has been around a long time, that contact lens wear leads to a low subclinical inflammation of the eye, which is not pathological. It's actually helpful. And the question then becomes, in specialty lens wear, particularly when you have a diseased eye that may show some inflammation, what happens at that in those eyes? Do we need to be a little bit more concerned about that subclinical inflammation becoming clinically relevant? So I think it's a very, very timely topic. The third thing and last thing I'd like to highlight is the Great Debate 2.0. Again, Nathan Efron and Ed Bennett are going to pick up on a debate that started years ago with this discussion about, are GP lenses alive and well, with Nathan predicting that perhaps outside of specialty lenses, GP lenses aren't going to do so well. And of course, Ed Bennett maintains that GP lenses in all forms are going to survive and do well. So they're going to talk about things like the sustainability of lenses, of GP lenses and specialty lenses. Where should GP lenses be taught? Should it be taught at a postgraduate or say a residency level, or should it be taught within optometry curriculums? Are GP lenses actually safer and healthier? Is ortho-K really, really worth it? And do GP lenses really provide the best vision or not? So this is going to be highly interactive. Again, Thursday morning, just after the first ever keynote address. I hope everybody can attend these very, very special sessions, as I think they're going to be really exciting. So,
yeah, that sounds great. And again, as someone who goes every year, looking forward to, I love the idea of a keynote address. I think, again, we see that in a lot of our big meetings, that this is part of them, and it belongs at GSLS. So I'm looking forward to that. I love the Great Debate idea. We know that'll be entertaining, hearing those two go back and forth. And interesting, you mentioned the AI concept too, because just last weekend I was at a meeting, and that was something that people were talking about, between lectures. We were buzzing about the AI stuff that's coming, and in particular with regards to scleral lens prescribing. But I think in the entire industry, I think it's a very now topic that we've got to talk about, because it is definitely on our radar for the not so distant future. So I love all these great new topics. Just again, to talk about the meeting for those who haven't been or don't go regularly. You've got, other than the general sessions, you mentioned the CE sessions, the breakout CEs. One of the things I love about the breakout CEs is you've got 4 or 5 different offerings all at the same time. So there's something for everyone. You have a choice as to how you want to focus your education. I want to spend more time on irregular cornea or ortho K myopia management or whatever. You have those options. If you want to find out about some new instrumentation or technology, there's going to be, again, talks specifically geared toward what part of contact lenses you're most interested in. And then again, the sponsor sessions, which are great because you've got these partners, our industry partners are going to be bringing a deeper discussion to some of their new products, some of their advances and how they prescribe. Again, for those of us who prescribe specialty lenses, I think, again, pretty invaluable, hitting all the variety of different types of talks that are brought. And now, again, adding the keynote and the debate. It's just, I think it's going to be another great meeting, and I'm so looking forward to it. As we head towards close, before I wrap things up, anything else you'd like to add about the coming meeting before I send this off?
Yeah, 2 more things. One is Thursday morning, before we get started in our general sessions, the keynote and debate. I want to encourage everybody to attend. We'll honor our awardees that morning. Our awardees this year, the Global Specialty Lens Award of Excellence is Professor Jan Bergmanson in Houston for all of his years work in specialty lenses, scleral lenses, the anatomy of the eye. So that'll be Thursday morning. And in addition, the GSLS Rising Star Award this year is Kevin Chan for his emerging work in the field of clinical myopia management. So that's number 1. Please attend our awardee session and help us celebrate them. Number 2 is that, just a reminder, please register for the meeting on or before this Friday, November 17th. And if you register on November 18th, you'll have the non-early bird registration. So early bird is through Friday. Just a reminder to everybody to register.
Okay, great. And to register, more than likely, a lot of people have been getting emails. I know I've gotten my emails about registering, but if they don't know where their email went, any place in particular, where can we send them to register?
I think it's GSLS Symposium.
Okay.
And it's right there. You'll see the agenda, registration, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Okay, perfect. So again, if you had planned on going and hadn't registered yet, or if you do plan on going now after hearing how great the meeting is, head to the GSLS website, GSL Symposium, and you'll find everything you need to do to register there. So great. Well, with that, it is time to bring this episode to a close. I want to thank you, Dr. Nichols, for your perspectives and all the insight into the meeting. I felt like I knew it was coming, but there's a whole lot more than even I knew was coming. So this is very exciting. Again, it's going to be January 17th through the 20th, 2024 in Las Vegas. Again, registration is now open. So if you love contact lenses, you need to be there. This is absolutely my favorite meeting of the year, one I never miss unless health problems arise. And I'll absolutely look forward to seeing you there. Please join me next month. We have another episode coming up prior to GSLS, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it with other members of the planning committee, Patrick Caroline and Ashley Wallace-Tucker. So look forward to seeing you join me for that episode coming up in December, as we'll continue to dive into the next GSLS conference. Thank you again, Dr. Nichols. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jason.